Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. I'm very excited today because I have my friend Colin with me today again to talk all about his works. Not only Lethal Circuit here, which I have on hand, but also his other stories and also about his band and sort of just see where the conversation goes. This is going to be more of a hangout, less of an interview, but I did want to have some interview questions ready. So I am very excited to have Colin back on the channel. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I've been reading a lot more fantasy, dipping into some Frank Herbert non-Dune books. I just finished this one, which I think you'll like a lot. The Santaroga Barrio is from
Ooh.
1968. It's about a town in California that has like a really weird like virus going on that makes everyone like live a lot longer, and they have like really weird like attributes going on where like they have like their own economy that like all these different companies are trying to infiltrate, and it's really cool. It's really interesting. It's like 200 pages, really short. This is what he wrote after Dune Messiah, and I got it for like
Oh,
a few bucks, so it was
it's
really
it's
cool.
funny. It's funny that you say because I am currently reading Dune
Oh,
Messiah. I'm like towards the end too. I'm like I got the
oh,
last little
nice.
bit there. It's good.
Yeah,
It's
I'll need to do
one thing
my
I
reread then, so we can talk about it.
oh hell yeah, that's what we'll do next time here. And
Yeah.
the last review you did on the last Frank Herbert book was awesome. It makes me want to check
Mm-hmm.
out more of his stuff. And then this one, I'm surprised. Like it's like so it takes place on Earth. It sounds
Mm-hmm.
like cool.
Yep.
That's a change.
It's like a Twilight Zone episode. Like I haven't done my review yet, but that's one of my big things I'm gonna talk about. Is that it feels
Dude,
like a Twilight Zone episode.
I just finished reading a book where like the next review I'm putting out here, or the one after the next one, this book felt just like a Twilight Zone episode. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you were reading that, did it feel like it was like in black and white pretty much?
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
it's it's crazy how it can do that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're words, so somehow they're monochrome. And
Yeah.
dude, I don't know what's up with that. Um, 'cause, like Frank Herbert, right? So he like you look at Dune, it's nothing like that. Like it feels like
Mm-hmm.
it could have been written like yesterday, and
Yeah.
so he purposefully like injected that somehow. That's genius.
Oh yeah, Frank Herbert is like one of my favorite authors, and not just for Dune, but his non-Dune works. Because this was the second book that I read by him that was not Dune
Yeah.
related, and I really enjoyed it. And I have like two or three more, like on my shelf. That is it. Like one is like the Dasadi Experiment, which is like full sci-fi. So I'm excited to get into that and kind
Mm.
of see like what he's kind of dipping into. Because Godmakers was the first one I read. That one was awesome. It was like a not as complex Book of the New Sun, but by Frank Herbert, and like that was so fun like to read. So
Yeah, I threw
yeah.
that one on my TBR after seeing your review of that. That looks pretty sick, but I've got a long way to go with Dune at this point.
Hmm.
I, uh, I think I'm gonna follow your advice and get through the first four books.
Nice.
But Messiah is awesome, and I'm flying through it too. But
Hmm.
it's like the actual like physical book that I have is weird. It's like super thin, so like the
Oh yeah.
pages you just go right through them, and it's nice. It's enjoyable, but like it's also like it feels weird. Like I don't know, like you're used to books having a certain shape, you know?
It's very tall. I have the same edition, and mine is very tall. Like.
Yeah, yeah. It's super tall and but like really, I don't know. It's weird, but I love the story. I love the story. That's what matters.
Yeah, I enjoyed the story. I mean, we'll get into it when we do the review, but I
Hmm.
remember I flew through it as well. I was reading it at work, if I recalled. And I remember I read it in like a day or two, and I was just like, whoa, like, and the scope is much smaller than in the first book, because the first
Yeah,
book is like planets and planets traveling all over, many different factions, and this one is a lot more like sort of like a spy type of story and trying to
yeah,
figure out like who the bad actors are within the group and all that.
yeah. It reminded me a little bit of like the Mistborn with the Khandra a little
Oh
bit. They got
yeah.
something going on like that with the
Hmm.
face. Uh, or like the face swappers or whatever. I can't remember what they're called. I should know that by now, but face changers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that next time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. So speaking of sci-fi, you wrote your first, well, not really your first, but your first released debut novel, Letha Circuit. And I ended up, speaking of page turners, as you said, I read this in like a day. I was really captured by it. I really enjoyed the characters. I love the world building. I would love to know sort of like, what was the process of you deciding to write this story? Because I know you've written other stories, but this was the first one you released. So what was sort of the process behind that?
So yeah, it's God, a lot of different angles on this, but I'll start with like, so Gene Wolfe, we brought up him a little earlier. I love Book of the New Sun. He has all these like interviews up online, and in one of them, he talked about how the best way to practice writing is to write short stories, because you can get from like the beginning to the end really easy compared to a novel. Like with a novel, if you want to edit a completed draft, you got to go from the beginning to an end of a full length novel, and that can take days. But if it was a short story, you can just in a couple of hours go all the way through, make some significant changes, and then read through it and know exactly how that impacted the story. So I got into short story writing, and I had a couple of like ideas kind of pre-planned. I got those out of the way and wanted to write something new. And I was in this place where like, I don't know if you ever do this, but if I'm going through like a hard time, if I'm going through like a difficult moment in life, I'll sort of retreat back to these like happy places within media. And for me, I use like emulators to go back to like old video games. And there's this particular game that I really like on the PSP called Wipeout Pure, and it's like an anti-gravity racing game. I'm not generally someone who's into like racers or anything like that, but this game in particular, this one specifically, was so addictive to me, and I pretty much just took that aesthetic and wrote a story for it, just so like selfishly, so I could like just live in it. I just was having a hard time, and I just wanted to exist in that world instead, and so that's why I started writing that. Otherwise, let's see. Then I ended up putting that into Writers of the Future. I submitted it to this contest, and I handily have this thing here. So I got like a silver honorable mention for it, which was like this confirmation of like, oh, it's not terrible. Cool.
Yeah.
Then I ended up just like sort of turning that into like a song with the band. So it was just this really kind of like multimedia sort of like exploration, where I got to get like all my friends involved and stuff, to where it didn't feel like this writing can be kind of lonely, you know, like you're just like sitting there typing away, editing stuff. And it was fun to like get the band involved and have them check out the story. And then from that, from the recording of the audio drama that we put up, that led to me kind of getting inspired to expand on it and turn it into a full length novel. And I purposefully kind of kept it on the shorter end. It's like you said, I'm so happy that you say it's a page turner, because that was the number one thing I was aiming for. I wanted it to be fast. I wanted it to be quick, because it's about racing. You know, you want to just fly through it. And I also believe that you got to earn the reader's trust. If your first book is like 600 pages or something, it might be amazing. It might be the best book ever written, but the likelihood that someone's going to pick it up and read all the way through it is much lower than if you put out something that's like 200 pages, because it's a lower commitment. You know, it's a lower time commitment. Like you said, you flew through it in a couple of days, and that was my like objective there, just to make it super easy to read. Like, make something good, but just make it really easy to read, where it just reads itself. That's the whole spiel. Sorry.
Nice. Yeah, I really like the story you told about the emulators and all that, because that's something I do too with writing, because we've been talking about writing back and forth in the DMs.
Yeah.
But like, one thing that I was also into is that I'm also really into Gene Wolfe, and Steven Erickson in one of his interviews said something similar, which is that like every chapter in Malazan or every POV feels like a full complete story, and that's because he was trained on short story writing from one of the writing schools in America. It's I don't know what state it's in, but it's in one of the like Midwest states, I think. But he talked about how like short story writing is much easier for a beginner reader because they can hone in a lot more on the craft and sort of make sure that they can at least get the story right. And that's something that I think you did really well on Circuit with, is sort of keeping the action going. And I said in my review that there was times where I wish the story would go slower because I was enjoying it so much, and I was kind of like, oh man, like I just want to linger, like just hang out in this specific location. And especially when we got to sort of the scenes with the digitizer and stuff like that, which I thought was so cool, the pixelator sort of technology. And I really liked the alien species too, those sort of extra dimensional entities that showed up. And I was like, man, I wish we got more of that, but I really enjoyed it anyways. And I was wanting more, which is something I think every reader should definitely go through, like when it's going through a good novel. I think that's the biggest praise for an author, sort of like not wanting to leave the world. Because some books I read them, I'm like, okay, I'm done now, and I don't think about it again. But I've been thinking about this book a lot, thinking about, oh, digitizers, that'd be so cool. Like, I'd love to go in one, like, you know, and sort of the father-son connections I really enjoyed as well. And sort of the apocalyptic prophecies that were going on, where it was like, you must keep racing, you must keep racing. And he's kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I'll race again. And like the entity is like, come on, you gotta race. Like, I really enjoyed that. So it was really fun to listen to you talk about how it came from an anti-grav racing game, because I was wondering, like, why anti-grav racing? Because I'm not much of a racing guy either, and I was the one thing I actually did enjoy was the anti-grav racing. So,
oh yeah, it's and I wanted to capture what I loved about that game so much. Like that was the objective, is like when you get to those chapters, that should be like almost like the reason you're reading the story. It's you have it almost just so happens you have this whole narrative going on, but also you have just like these moments of like it feels like you're in like feels like you're playing a video game, like but with stakes, like real stakes, where you have people that that you understand like innately at this point, that you don't want to die. And I always kind of use each of those races as like a significant phase of development. Like you'll have like the midpoint, you'll have a big race in the story, and then you have like the break into two, and the structure is something that like happened almost on accident, that I wish I could make happen again. But it's like the short story portion of it takes the place of the first third of the book. So it works as like an act one, but the act one in itself is a full story. And then the second and third thirds of the story, so like part two, part three, they each kind of like fit this like symmetry of like, you know, when you look into like structure for stories, you have like the 4/4 structure or the 3-act structure, and it just like accidentally perfectly aligned with that. And usually I have to like force things to work that way with all the other stories I've worked on, but this one, it just kind of like kind of slipped into place. And so I don't know, it just was like the easiest process that I've had so far, which was another reason why I wanted to put it out, because it just felt like there's nothing I disagree about with this thing that I have. Like even with my own writing, I'll find that I disagree with certain things, and I'm like, okay, I gotta fix this, I gotta fix that, this could be better, that could be better. But this one, I just felt like this is what it is, it's perfectly fine being what it is, so I'm gonna put it out there. And yeah, seeing your thoughts, reading your reviews, seeing your review videos, it felt so awesome, because like seeing like just your detailed thoughts, and I agree. I 100% agree. I went a little too far in some places with the speed of everything, where it should have slowed down a bit more. And I want to correct that, but I think that means I got to do like a sequel or something at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But I got some ideas, but we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, I would love a sequel personally, but I'm also open to any other projects that you write. Because, I mean, we have a lot of the same influences, Gene Wolfe, Frank Herbert. And I would love to kind of go into sort of your inspirations behind writing the story. I mean, aside from the games, like what authors did you read a lot that you were sort of wanting to pay homage to or sort of write similarly to?
Gosh, I was drawing a little bit from everything I was reading at the time, but like not directly. Like with music, I tend to purposefully not try and be influenced by other music. I'll try and be influenced by books, by movies, things like that, to where it feels like you're drawing from something unique. And so with books, I do the opposite. I try and like pull from music. I try and pull from pull from all sorts of stuff, that anything other than writing. And with this, there was this musician I found named Marcus Intellex, who passed away like 10, 15 years ago. And he put out this album called 21 that I feel like captured the whole vibe of like what I was going for. It like was like the soundtrack to my writing process. I was just listening to it on repeat over and over again. And I was just kind of like seeing a movie in my head and just kind of like typing it out as I'm going along. But otherwise, Gene Wolfe, I mean, Book of the New Sun was a huge influence on me with like all creative endeavors. As soon as I got into that story, like profound impacts for me. It's I think just the first person aspect of it, just that limitation, how Severian taints everything that makes its way to the reader. Like all this information you're getting, you have no idea if it's just him completely bullshitting. Maybe he's just like some crazy guy pretending to be this hugely affluent person. Maybe he's just like some like addict on a street corner who like scribbled a bunch of stuff and sent it back in time. You have no idea who he is. And you just have to trust him. I love that.
Oh yeah. And have you read the further novels beyond Book the New Sun, like Nightside and all that?
No, I took a break because I wanted to like get into some other stuff and kind of like just let that like steep for a while, I guess. I don't know. I read The Fifth Head of Cerberus, which I loved. I love that book.
I think I have that on the shelf. I just got that for my birthday, so I'm excited.
Read it. In some ways, I'm still debating on. I know I did that tier list recently, but I'm still debating on whether or not I actually might like that more than Book of the New Sun.
That's high praise.
It's amazing. It really is. It's unique, but you got to check it out. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
That'll probably influence me.
Yeah, I have the Wizard Knight series on the shelf, and I have Book the Long Sun on the shelf. So I'm very excited to get into that. I think I have Fifth Head of Cerberus, but again, I had over 100 books on my TBR. I've got it down to 100 exactly. So I'm getting through it. It was at like 113 a month ago. So I've been
your pace too.
Yeah, ever since I started my new job, I've been like just trying to grab like shorter books so I can like go through it like faster. And that's why I was reading the Frank Herbert books. I want to do Dasadi Experiment next. But I've been doing like dipping back into The Expanse because I want to finish The Expanse this year. And I finished the short story that takes place between books 7 and 8. So then I have book 8 and then book 9 and then the final short story. So after all that, I'll be done for the year. So, and I want to bring up The Expanse because you said you haven't read it or watched the TV show. And I was very struck by how similar the vibes were between your book and The Expanse. And I was like, you would love The Expanse. Like, you need to read that. Like, it's so good. Like, the main character reminds me of Holden, who is the main character, well, one of the main characters of the Expanse. Like, so similar. He has flaws. He has really interesting strengths as well. Like, all these things. Like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it one day.
Oh, 100%. I want to get into that pretty bad, actually. I mean, it's strange, like, because once again, with Dune, I know we keep bringing this up, but like that had so many weird similarities
Mm.
to Lethal Circuit, like, and I'd like just read Dune, and like
Yeah.
I couldn't believe like how influential that was, or maybe like Frank Herbert tapped into something that was like so intrinsic to like the human experience or to storytelling in general that like if you're doing things right you can't help but like wind up in a somewhat similar position.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's like one of those things or a mix of those things, but like there were just some like odd circumstances where I'm like, this is really similar. What? and and so like with the Expanse too, it's like it makes me think like, God, I got to do some reviews on these and try and pull in some the uh, the Expanse fans and get them to check out my story because
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's the way to go. Like, yeah, damn. You know, I've got a couple other books I've written that are
Mm.
like I think of that are like the flagship stories. Like it's the reason why I wrote Lethal Circuit. It's the reason why I write anything else is like to get good enough to do these particular stories justice. And
Mm-hmm.
and they do have like some similarities to Dune.
Mm.
Like the whole the prescience, the visions and stuff like that. Um, and I thought like, oh, I'm doing this really unique thing. I'm at the time I was avoiding reading sci-fi. I didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
read sci-fi because I didn't want to be influenced. And I thought that if I'm avoiding reading, then I'll do something unique and brilliant. And meanwhile, I'm like stepping into these like cliches without knowing it. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think reading as widely as possible is the best thing you can do. Um, just get out there and get as much influence as you possibly can to where it's not just one thing that's influencing you. I don't know. It's an interesting thing that happened for sure.
Yeah, it was funny because I was having a tough time titling my video because I felt like Pod Racing Meets Danger was like such a snappy title, but I wanted to
Yeah,
incorporate the Expanse into that because I was like, I want the Expanse readers to like tap into this. And I think I did talk
nice.
about the Expanse a lot in the Amazon review on the site you had sent. And I was like, this is like the number one like story to read. Cause I'm not much of a sci-fi reader outside of like Frank Herbert, Gene Wolfe, and The Expanse. I watch a lot of sci-fi movies though, and I would
Yes.
say this one reminded me a lot of like sort of like the 80s sci-fi, like Event Horizon or like stuff
Yeah,
like that.
that one's
So
good.
yeah, and so I was really
Totally.
sort of struck by sort of how many influences there were from things that you hadn't read yet.
Yeah.
And you talked about it already. And so it's like really funny to sort of like, as I was reading it, I was like, wait a minute, like, I know Colin, like, he hasn't read like The Expanse or Dune or, but we're seeing all these little like nuggets of like inspiration, but without being inspired by it. Like, it was really
Yeah.
interesting. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I don't know, were you ever a fan of Carl Sagan at all?
a little bit, yeah.
He he had that show Cosmos, and he had
Mm-hmm.
one specific episode where he talked about like what like a four-dimensional creature would
Mm,
be like if we ran into them, and he gave this example of something called flatland, where
mm,
he took like an apple, a three-dimensional object, and then dabbed it in ink, and then tapped that onto a piece of paper and said, okay, so this is what a flatlander would see as like the apple. And then he talked about how like you'd have cross sections going up like the vertical axis of that apple one after the other as the apple moved in their two-dimensional plane. And I thought about that and I was like, oh, that's fucking cool.
mm-hmm.
And that's where the whole 11th dimensional entity comes from.
Okay.
In that story is just that idea of like something impossible for us to comprehend, where it's just all these like dimension on top of dimension on top of dimension, and you're being contacted by this thing, and it can't comprehend what your experience is either, because it's like, how do, like, us comprehending the two-dimensional perspective is already like such this alien strange thing. Put like 10 other dimensions on top of that, what do you get? And so it just gets wild and kind of humorous, you know. And so that was like the main, like, most direct influence that I had on that story. But I'd recommend checking that out. It's such a cool, type in Carl Sagan Flatland, you'll have fun with it.
Oh yeah, because that was one of the questions I had, is where did that idea come from? And like, it's such a like a concrete example of like, oh, it came from this. And like, I love that. Like, it's really cool. And I would also like to ask you, like, where did the idea of the digitizer come from? Or the pixelator? I think it's the digitizer, right? Yeah.
Digitizer, you have it. And I like pixelator too. That would have been a cool one. But the digitizer is like, oh man, got a little notification. Oh,
yeah, we'll get that. We'll just restart the video.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the digitizer. So I was influenced by Wipeout, the anti-gravity racing game, and that has like some video gamey aspects. So the digitizer comes along with like the weapon pads, you know, like the ships cross something, and then they all of a sudden they have like an energy rocket or something like that. And you can almost, if you haven't played Wipeout, you can think of like Mario Kart. You know, you got the little like question mark blocks that you can smack through and get a green shell or something like that. So all I did was make that into like a more serious thing, and the way that technology works, it works through the digitizer, and so you're getting these weapons that begin as data that turn into like physical, actual weapons, and along with that, you can turn physical objects back into data. So the digitizer is a respawn mechanic. You can respawn using it, and that's what it's meant for. It's so that this whole thing could exist. Like you can legally and ethically have a death race, because if someone's about to die, they'll just get zapped back. They'll be fine. But the thing is, it only works like maybe 10% of the time, because the whole draw to this thing, the whole draw to a death race is death. And so if people don't die, then what's the point of it? So it's this it's like corrupt thing where it's like the technology is available to make sure that no one ever dies, but they purposefully tune it to where people die all the time.
Yeah, it's really fun that you mentioned the respawn, because I was thinking about like, oh, is this like a respawn technology? And I'm happy to know that like I was absolutely right on that.
Yep.
I love the mention of Death Race as well, because I talked about Death Race. I was like, oh, this very much reminds me of Death Race, which is my favorite like racing media like ever. Like, I love the one with Jason Statham. Like, I don't think it's a bad movie at all. Some people do, but I love that movie. Like, it's a lot of fun, and it's basically like Death Race but in space, I guess, would be like a good sort of hook. Like, so it's really interesting too, because like Death Race, like, it has a lot of the same sort of rules going on, where all these people are trying to win the freedom and like try to make as much money as they can in order to escape the current circumstances. And we have the main character going through that as well. And he tries to tell his son, like, no, you shouldn't be racing. Like, his mom is saying that as well. And he does it anyways. And I was sort of curious if you could tell me more about sort of, was there any like inspiration behind that struggle, or were you sort of like, oh, of course, like his son would want to do that, or how was that process?
Yeah. So that, like, I saw the whole like, so there, you got the two protagonists. You got the father and the son. Start off with the father, Jack, and he is a mess. He's an addict, and there's nothing he's more addicted to than racing. And the reason for this is that he grew up on the streets. He was a homeless kid without parents, and his kind of like one thing was like this dream to become a famous racer. Like, you don't have like dreams of being like a rock star. You don't have dreams of becoming an actor or an influencer in this particular story. Everyone's like, the highest thing you could possibly be is a racer. And and so it's also kind of an analog to like my pursuits in music and writing and all that stuff, like trying to succeed in any of these things, like just chasing this thing above all else and becoming addicted to that chase. So I did purposefully pull from a bit of that, because like, you know, you spend all this time working on a project and you want it to succeed, you want it to work, and with that comes like a little bit of attachment that you have to kind of like get used to letting go of. And so I wanted Jack to be this person who can't let go of that, and who just constantly has to, like, he has to win. He has to be this person on the very top. And then meanwhile, James, he sees this whole mechanism of becoming a famous racer as a way of like establishing a voice. So you can imagine like a celebrity who becomes very influential and wants to make some positive changes on the world, like whether that's like financially or like socially, you know, like just people who want the best for others. So James is like a very selfless person. He's very motivated, and he has so yeah, Jack's piece of trash, James is not. And the whole theme of the story, it breaks down to the theme of the story, which is responsibility. Mm-hmm. And if you have responsibility in any particular instance, then you control that instance. If there's a problem and you neglect responsibility, you don't control that problem. There's nothing you can do to fix it. So the whole point of the story was like, even if something isn't your fault, even if the blame should not fall on you, if you allow it to fall on you, if you allow that responsibility to fall on you, then you can do something about it. And Jack, he's constantly trying to push away this responsibility, just wants to focus on the thing that he likes focusing on. But James, he's trying to take responsibility, and he's trying to take control. But you can see like how those both those roads can lead to terrible, terrible things. And James, even though seems like he's making all the right decisions, he winds up in this terrible like dichotomy where he has to make like this impossible choice. He winds up on what's essentially the Death Star. And once again, there's a clear influence right there. Straight up Star Wars. There's Star Wars shit throughout this entire story. But yeah, there's like a whole other monologue there. Sorry.
All good. Yeah, it's really fun that you mentioned the sort of the idea of responsibility, because the father didn't want to take any responsibility for sort of saving the universe and all this stuff. He's like, I just want to race. And we have this funny moment where the entity is talking to the son and is like, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you, taken responsibility? And he's like, I'm not even him. I'm his son. And they're like, what is a son? What's a father? Right. I really enjoyed that, like sort of that humorous aspect as well, because like the universe was, at stake here. And you have these moments of comedy as well to sort of keep it like from being, the most sort of stressful novel to read. And we have this sort of moment where sort of the love interest with the son is talking with him in the digitizer, and it's like they both sort of see the entity, or he is taken out before he's sent back from the digitizer. And he's sort of given like, oh, you have to do this or you will fail. Like, racing isn't all that matters, but it's something you need to do in order to save the universe. And I love the idea that the theme is responsibility, because I'm not the best when it comes to like picking up on theme, like as I'm reading it. But it's absolutely about like responsibility, and also the responsibility of parents and sort of child rearing and sort of telling them what path to take and stuff like that. And I really like the story that you told about how it's sort of like a analog to your life with your musical approaches and writing and all that. And I'd sort of want to know more about like sort of your musical career and sort of how that informed your writing, which you've already sort of delved into about how like you listen to music and you use music to sort of get yourself in the mood and all that. So, can you talk more about that?
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah. So in that particular instance, that Marcus Intellects, you got if you're listening to this, check it out. Check him out if you're into like any sort of like electronic music. He's so awesome. But he passed away way too young, way too young. But he really captures that vibe so perfectly. But in pretty much in any other case, I didn't really listen to like another person's music to write stuff. Usually it's like you'll find all these Easter eggs in these stories connected to songs with my band Sleepcycle. You'll find like there might be a plot device named after a song, or like or that has some connection to some lyrics there. Sometimes it's sneakier than other times, but I love just kind of weaving these things together. But it's not like, we both have talked about Sanderson, Brandon Sanderson, and how like there's some positives and negatives to his writing, right? Like the whole shared universe aspect, it can be awesome, but if it's too much of a necessity to read every single little thing that he's ever done in order to understand who the hell this character is or why they matter, you find yourself with some really big problems. So I love how like you can amplify the enjoyment of a story with these little Easter eggs, with these little like subtle connections where it is all one big story, but each and every one of these things should function like as its own thing. Like you can listen to the music or you can read Lethal Circuit, and it's enjoyable. You'll understand it. It's a self-contained thing. But if you want that to be bigger, if you want it to be like this larger thing, you can go listen to the song. You can listen to the audio drama. You can do all these things. It's like optional. You don't have to do all these things. But like I love Star Wars. This is all just me trying to make a Star Wars. Like as a kid, I loved like the action figures, the books, the TV show, the Clone Wars TV show, all those things. And it all just added to my understanding of what Star Wars was. And but even if all those things didn't exist, even with just the films, I just still loved it. And so I wanted to do something like that, where it's like you get this expansive thing, but you also it's all self-contained. I don't know. Was that an answer? Sorry, I completely got sidetracked there.
No, all good. That was a good answer. And you brought up the audio drama a few times now, and I want to talk about that a little bit, because after finishing this book, I was like, I want to listen to the audio drama, because you had just uploaded the video, I think that day, I believe. Yeah. And I listened to, I think, most of it. Like, I think it was like hour video or something like that, and I did 50 minutes or so. And I really enjoyed it, and I was curious, like, where did that come in the process? Did you do that first and then write the book, or did you write the book and then do the audio drama? And sort of what was your experience like making that? Because it was really cool, and I enjoyed it, and I was like, man, this is a big project to do just on its own, let alone with the novel. So
it was like a year of development for that thing.
Oh, wow.
Because it was just me and so Jeremy Vellucci, he is the like most long-term member of the band Sleepcycle, and I've known him since high school. He kicks ass at everything he does. He's an amazing key player, and he just so happens to play bass in the band, and he's the best bass player I know too. And he's incredible. You guys would get along. You guys would get along quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think one of these days we should do like a big group call or something like that. Maybe a jam session.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
But he like did all the composition for all the background music here. This isn't just like some generated thing. Like he actually like recorded each and every one of these scenes. He voiced a bunch of the characters, and we worked together to like audition a few people for some of the characters, and these are all like local musicians around the area who lent their voice talent to us, and they were awesome. And it was fun just like work with like a cast of people on something that I wrote. Like I was talking earlier about how like lonely writing can be, and it was cool to like just have this blossom into a thing where it's like a production where you're hanging out with people and you're all kind of like all thinking about the same thing, all working on the same thing. And but yeah, we just wanted to bring it to life, like make it pretty much like a movie for your ears, because like I would love to make like some film or some visual medium of some sort, but it's like that's expensive, that's difficult. But yeah, making that audio drama was a lot of fun. And if we ever do the James Racer aspect of it, if we do the full story, you got to be a voice.
Oh, I'll happily lend my voice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, the audio drama definitely felt like a movie because, like, I think I was writing the review while I was listening to it, and
nice.
so I was like, it was like a new way to experience it, and I could see all the scenes in my head a lot better because I actually had voices, and it seemed like you actually had like voice actors and all that, but it was musicians, so that's really cool. And I really enjoyed the music in the background as well. I thought it was something you had sort of just generated or used like a pre-made thing, but that's really cool that you had someone to actually make the music, and like it just worked really well. And while I was reading the book, I also had synthwave playing a lot, which is one of my favorite genres because it's just like it's very repetitive, but it's always just so striking. And it's like the perfect music for like sci-fi, in my opinion.
100%.
And like, yeah, and listening to that while reading the book was just like such a joy. And listening to the audio drama, you had sort of similar music with it, so it was really cool to listen to it and get the voices and also the sound effects in it. Like when I think it's the father, he's being accosted by people who he owes money to in the beginning, and you can hear the punches land, you hear people knocking, and like all that stuff, and it was really cool. And so I'd love to hear sort of the rest of the story, and I gladly, lend a voice. I don't know who I can be, but we'll figure that out.
Even if we got to, we'll write someone in for you regardless. Like, oh no, you are part of the project now, whether you like it or not.
Hey, I'm happy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd love to sort of transition now from talking about Lethal Second to your other writing projects. Without, I guess, giving too much info, or however much info you want to give, like, what are they about? Like, what are the type of characters you're writing? Like, what are the sort of problems you're running into? Or, like, maybe things that are just easy, having since written Lethal Second? Like, all those type of questions. Like,
yeah. Okay, so I have there are 3 novels that I have at a point that are like technically complete, that I've done like dozens of drafts on that I could just release, but I keep finding that like I can make it a little bit better, and gosh, it's complicated. So Lethal Circuit is like its own thing, it's its own universe, and eventually I will come back, like within the year I'm going to come back and do a sequel for it.
You had it here first, folks.
That's a promise that I now have to keep.
Yeah.
And it's I want to go more cyberpunk with it. By the way, I finished reading the Neuromancer Sprawl trilogy, and oh my god, you got to read that. Like,
I've heard amazing things on it. Yeah,
it's so good. It's like so good, and that makes me want to dive more into Lethal Circuit just because of that. But before that, I'm going to get started on my like main series. Like, I have a main series that has a planned ending, for one. It's not something that's going to go on forever. It's not something that's just going to be like, if it's successful, I can just keep pumping out book after book. It's not what this is going to be. This is going to be 7 to 8 books. And each of them are going to be like, some of them might seem like they don't even connect with the others, but they do. And so the next one, okay, I'm going to give an exclusive preview for the next book here. How about that? So the next book is going to actually be it comes across as fantasy, but it's actually sci-fi in disguise, and it is called Rain Girl.
Ooh.
And it takes place in 1700s Austria. And it's sort of like a little bit like the vibe is a little bit like Princess Bride, a little bit. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie. It's a little bit like that, but it's so it's about this girl who is made of rain, and if she leaves this storm, if she leaves the storm, she doesn't exist. So like you only see her as the rain like hits her. It's like a magic girl kind of thing, you know, that whole genre. But so she falls in love with this guy who's like kind of an outcast. He's called a weather watcher. He's like an early form of like a meteorologist, but people think like maybe he's into like witchcraft or something like that, because his predictions are accurate a little too often, but it's actually just because he knows the science. He's invented all these different things. Like in this story, he's the first person to come up with like a thermometer, a thermoscope, and things like that. And so he runs into this girl during a storm where everyone in the town shuns him, but suddenly he runs into someone who he's like, I've never seen you before, and she's like sparkling because the fucking rain's hitting her and stuff. And but of course, once the rain leaves, she vanishes. And the reason for this is like she used to be a regular human, but she was cursed at some point by someone named Stormhand. And Stormhand is has this big palace made of fog in the sky.
Ooh.
and he kind of keeps her there, and because our main character and the rain girl fall in love, they have like a very tender moment. Stormhand curses Jarin, or that's his name. He curses him to become a living drought, so no matter where he goes, it will never rain. And therefore he will never be able to see her again.
Oof.
And at first he tries to think that, this is all delusion. He wakes up in his house and everything's destroyed, everything's all rained in, you know, and he thinks that it's all just like him being crazy, that all the town's right about him. But eventually, like months later, the rain never comes, and the town starts turning against him, and he fears for his life. He thinks that they're going to execute him, and so he has no choice but to set off on this journey. Now it turns into like pure fantasy, going on this mission, this journey across the land to try and chase the storm, trying to find her and rescue her from Stormhand, this dark prince in the sky. And so there's the preview, exclusive.
That
preview.
sounds awesome. I would read that. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'll get you. I will get you a beta reader copy.
Ooh.
And I gotta read your stuff too. Let's talk about what you're working on, man.
Yeah. So I'm also working on sort of like a fantasy thing. It's set in our world. It's sort of like a COVID sort of aligned type of event in like 2020, but instead it's like meteors hit the Earth, and it basically unleashes like these sort of these aliens, sort of like the Quiet Place, but instead it's like it's sort of like Berserk, where you have these apostle type of creatures who have more hierarchy within that sort of species, and they can control the underlings and all that. So Earth is wiped out very quickly. It's sort of like a zombie apocalypse type of thing too. I love the zombie apocalypse. I love my favorite trope in fantasy is the Odyssey, which is the characters going on a journey and changing and adapting. So hearing you talk about hunting down Stormhand and all that, like I love that shit. Like I'm happy to read that. So like in this story, it's sort of about this guy who doesn't really have any will to live, and he sort of just stumbles from one scenario to the other, and is quickly sort of tied up with the aliens and all that, and there's some sort of weird sort of agenda going on from the alien side, and he's also getting visions, and he's sort of seeing the future, but he doesn't know if that future is certain or not. And so he's kind of like, oh, this will become my new purpose in life. And he meets other people, people who are good and also mostly bad, because this is the apocalypse. So everyone who survived at this point are greedy motherfuckers who don't really, have much positives going on for them, and sort of are taking the situation as an advantage for them to sort of do whatever they want. So we have like cults, we have sort of religious sects going on, where it's like sort of like midsummer type of thing, where outside of the cult or whatever, people are like, oh, it's just, it's a normal thing. But the more time you spend with them, the more sort of haunted and fucked up it becomes. And that's sort of what I wanted to do, was combine Book the New Sun, which is technically our Earth, millions and millions of years in the future, if not sort of many turnings of the wheel, I guess is the best way to describe it. If you've read Wheel of Time, which is like time repeats itself. I think that's going on in Book the New Sun. I wanted to combine that with Berserk and also put in a little bit of
it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, there was one other series, I can't remember exactly, but like there's a little bit of The Witcher as well, with like Geralt and Ciri going on, like the main character and a sort of prophesied Destiny child, I guess they called her in the series. Like, it's really cool. And it's funny because I've had this idea brewing in my head for years, because I read Book the New Sun last year, like for the first time, the first two books.
Yeah.
And book two, I had no idea what happened. So that's why earlier this year in January, I believe, I did my reread of the first two books, and then I went on to book 3 and 4 for the first time, once I had a lot better of a handle on the series. And it was my favorite series of all time. I think it's better than anything I've ever read before. There's so many layers. I don't think I will go into that sort of aspect of Book the New Sun in my writing, because I do not have the patience to do that. But it's more like a first person, like Quiet Place meets Berserk meets Book the New Sun. So with smatterings of The Witcher, because you have, the monster hunter. There's not a monster hunter in this story, because this is just normal humans in our Earth. We don't have any, super ninjas or super Witcher schools like they did. So it's sort of like a survival horror, more like. And it's just kind of like trying to persevere. So sort of taking the theme of Guts always having to sort of hold on and persevere through any issues that he has. And no matter how awful it becomes, like, death is not an option. So that's sort of where I'm headed. I'm on chapter 7 right now, and each chapter is about 2,000 to 3,000 words. So I have a good amount of work in it. And I need to send you the first 5 chapters or so. That way I can sort of see what the reaction is. Because to me, I'm like, I love it, but I don't know if it's like too weird or anything like that. But you've read Book the New Sun, so I think it'll be right up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, just from what I'm hearing, I think that you have like a substantial amount of world building there. Like how easily you're able to like just delve into that even.
Yeah.
And like you have like a very realized world that you're working with, and you understand like the implications of all these things, and it all stems from like one event. And that's amazing. I love that.
Thank you.
And all the things they're bringing up here, I'm like, okay, that box is checked. That box is checked.
Yep.
Hell yes. And like Berserk too, I can imagine. Oh, this goes to some real dark places, most likely.
And it's funny because the chapter I've been working on most, there's a big harrowing, disgusting event that goes on that's similar to the eclipse, which is supposed to be like the eclipse. I think is one of the most emotional events in any media I've ever read. Like, it's really fucked up, and in the manga, the artwork is just incredible. But like I'm not doing a manga, so I sort of have to write the details out and describe
Totally.
what is going on, and I've delayed writing that chapter. It's sort of like what George R. R. Martin did when he was writing the Red Wedding chapter. That
Mm,
was the final chapter he ever wrote because he never felt like he was ready to write it. Like it was just too hard. And I may have to skip this chapter and like go back to it, but these sort of
right.
things happen over and over and over again in the story. I mean, we have a lot of sort of sexual assault, we have rape in the story, just like in Berserk. I mean, I don't want to say I want to be an American Kentaro Miura, but I would kind of love to be that. And I think the story
Yeah.
is one that I've been slowly writing. So I've written many different versions of this, sort of half and half. Some of it was in like a fantasy world. Like, I love world building. That's always what I love doing. I played Dungeons and Dragons all throughout college. I was always the DM. I never played it myself, but I was always the one running the games because I just love building worlds and I love
Yeah.
building new creatures and factions. And I love the occult as well. And I love reading about real world cults as well. And I'm a big cult movie fan. So there's a lot of like secret societies. I love that kind of stuff. And I've been reading my first Clive Barker book, Magica, lately on audiobook. And like that stuff is right up my alley, like the Clive Barker sort of stories.
Yeah. You know what you'd love is Dying Earth by Jack Vance.
I have it on my shelf.
Yeah.
I've been
I think
meaning to get into it, yeah.
like beyond anything else I've recommended, I think that should go to the top of the list because it's it's like all those things that you just listed. It's I mean it was like the most heavy influence for Book of the New Sun. But it's got demons in it. It's got straight up demons in it. And like it's literally the Earth millions of years later and stuff, right as the sun's dying and stuff, and you have there are magicians, there are all sorts of things like that. It's all occult, but it also has like the very core of it is like there's some deep clever humor to it. It's like all a joke in the end, and
Yeah.
but it's done so beautifully to where like it's God, you gotta experience it. You gotta experience it. And like you were saying, like trying to like you're not working on a manga, you don't have like a visual aspects to it, but you still have to convey these dark moments. You gotta convey these like soul crushing kind of scenes. And not that can be tough, but at the same time, it's like if you have your characters developed up until this point, if you have your readers' expectations of like, are they connected to this person? What do they think is going to happen with this person? And how am I like circumventing that? How am I changing up those expectations? Yeah, I think it's totally doable. And if you feel like you need to skip that scene and move forward for now, that makes sense, especially if you know like the fallout of it. But I'd say just like scratch something together, even if it's
Yeah.
not the what you end up with. You can always edit like a million times afterward. There's no rule, but just get something there just to where because like do you do like explorative writing at all, like just or do you mainly like adhere to your outline for the most part?
So I so I would say it's half and half. Like I have the major beats in my head, and this is what I've been thinking about for years. If I was ever, because I've always sort of loved the idea of the movie A Quiet Place, but I don't like the movies, so I feel like they
Right.
don't go far enough with the plot. And so I was like, I want to do my own one, and I was like, but I don't know how I would do that. And so when I read Book the New Sun and Berserk, I was like, there I go, like the perfect pairing with The Quiet Place would be like Berserk and Book the New Sun, in regards to the character journey. And so I leave a lot of room to explore because I find that I'm very much influenced by what I'm currently reading or what movies I'm watching. Like, one of my favorite movies of all time is Society by Brian Usner, and it's about sort of a teenager who is part of this super wealthy family, and they're all part of society. They keep kind of saying it's like, oh, you'll make a great part of society or a great member of society. And by the end of the movie, you realize that they're not human at all. They're actually a very ancient alien race, and they do this thing called the shunting towards the end of the movie, where it's basically a giant orgy, and they fuse together all these people into this mega like organism and have this like orgy scene basically. Yeah, it's a really fucked up movie.
Wait, what movie is that?
Society. It's amazing.
Jeez,
You know it's awesome when the makeup effects artist is named Screaming Mad George is what his name is. He's done many movies. Like that movie's amazing. And when they were filming it, a lot of people like called the cops and stuff because they were like, "What did I just walk into?" Because it's not CGI, it's 1980s. It's like pure cult. It's amazing. I love that movie. And so I was like, I rewatched that over my birthday because every year I do like a movie marathon of like just all my favorite movies. And I always like to bring in someone who hasn't seen any of the movies because one of my favorite things to do is show people movies that they have no idea about. And Society is one of those movies that will always make people like really wince and just be disgusted. And it's also a fantastic movie with a lot of themes and a lot of great character work, great writing, and all of that. And Society is one that I watched like before chapter 2 or 3. And so it's informed a lot of my choices where I'm like, oh, I want to see like the shunting. And that's sort of what I'm working on now. And they even call it the shunting in the book as well, because I assume no one who is going to read my book has watched the movie. So
yeah, it's just like an eloquent reference at that point. Like it's just something that adds to the overall like world building of what you have there. Like Ursula K. Le Guin, she came up with the Ansible. Have you heard of that term, Ansible? So that's something that like Orson Scott Card in like the Ender's Game universe ended up using, and a bunch of other sci-fi authors. And all it is like just a way of like communicating in real time across any distance. So like, you know, like you have the like the limits of speed of light that you're dealing with like if someone's out in like Jupiter or whatever, and you got to send a message to them, it takes time to send that, and it takes time to come back. Like us right now, we're 3 hours apart. There's a little bit of lag or whatever, but you know, technology accounts for that. But the Ansible is like the technology that accounts for vast distances of like being in like other galaxies and stuff. And so anyone who like wants to use that technology, you can just use that word. Even though Le Guin used that for her universe, like you can just use that word. Everyone knows what you're talking about. You don't have to come up with a new thing. It's all good. Like so when you're writing that scene right there, it's like use it, and then maybe that'll turn into a much larger thing where anytime someone has a thing like that, it's like that's what it's going to be, and it's like more like a term that you're solidifying, that you're turning into like more of like a mainstay of the genre, I guess. Yeah, I love stuff like that, like these like long developed ideas that are like planted at one point, but then they grow over time from like many different authors over many generations. And yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah, because the first time because for years, because I'm a Dark Souls player, I love Dark Souls, I love Bloodborne, I love all those games. And so I knew of Berserk for a long time, and especially when Mira died. Because I remember when I first started getting into A Song of Ice and Fire back in 2011, I remember hearing about Berserk, like, hey, if I like Game of Thrones and all that, what else would I like? And Berserk is always towards the top of the list for that. And on top of that, I was playing Dark Souls 1 a lot back in those days. And so I knew of it, and I loved the artwork, but I was always like, oh, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I don't think I'm ready. And then I heard about the not subtitles, but the dubs. I heard about the issues with the dubs with the original anime. And so I was like, okay, I'll just, once I started collecting Blu-rays and 4Ks, I was like, someone's going to re-release Berserk one of these days. And so last year, they finally did that, like early last year, and I got it, and I watched it all during the summer in like June or so. and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I started reading the manga. I watched the 2017 or 2013 movies, the Golden Age Memorial Edition, I think they call it, which I think is even better than the anime. And I love the anime, so I love them both equally for different reasons. But I found that when I watched through, and now that I'm on volume 29, volume 29 of Berserk, like there's so many great ideas that he uses, and I'm like, I wish he would go a little bit further with like these aspects that he just quickly goes over. And I was like, I'm gonna just put that into my story, and sort of do what I want. And like the eclipse and sort of the apostles, like I love that idea. I love everything with it. I love how deeply the emotions are. Because one of the big takeaways for me when I'm reading is I want to be emotionally affected. Because I'm not that emotional in like day-to-day life, but when it comes to media, that's when I can be emotional. So I love the movies that make me cry. I love books that make me cry. I love being angry. I love wanting to like I feel like I love when fires are lit within me, like after engaging with something. And Book the New Sun did that for me as well. Well, I was just like, I want to reread it right now, but I just finished it, so maybe I should just wait till New Year's for me to do my reread. But I'm thinking about rereading it before doing Book the Long Sun, because I know it's very connected. So, and I don't know how connected it is, because I don't know anyone who has read it. So I can't get any warnings about like, oh, make sure you reread it. Like I might just reread it because I love it anyways. But
Yeah, I've heard that it's like it's connected, but it's also like I guess Book of the Short Sun I think is supposed to be the one that like brings it all together or something.
yeah, something like that.
But I don't know. I gotta now you got me considering a reread too. But man, no, but your description of like loving media that like lights a fire in you, something that makes you cry and or makes you angry or like pulls out like a real response from you.
Yeah,
I love that shit. I love that shit. That's why I do what I do, is because I'm trying to like give back to that almost. Like there's so many things that have made me feel that way, to where it's like I want to contribute. I want to put out a little bit of something like that, and it's it's all I ever want to do. And like there's like tragedy. That's why I love like I hate tragedy in real life, but in fiction, like tragedy, like just these like heartbreaking moments, I that's like always the thing I'm like trying to aim for in the end. Even if like there's like a lot of comedy going on or whatever like that, it's like, the thing that at least sticks with you is like going through something, but like without having to physically go through it, And yeah, something about fiction that's just so awesome. But yeah, I'm excited to read your thing, man. I want to send me your if you're comfortable, send me what you got, and then I'd love to read your draft when you have a full draft too, because that was one thing, is that I was like, when I'm writing, I avoid showing stuff to people until I have a full draft, usually, just because I don't want it to be influenced. I've always been terrified of being influenced too much, like almost like sometimes when you're making something, it can feel like you're tapping into something, like you're connected to something it's not you doing it, like you're the medium to create the thing, and you're like you have to like kind of erase all these different blockages. And sometimes that's like other people's personalities or other like popular, like whatever's popular at the moment might influence you into doing this or doing that. And sometimes you just got to like make all the mistakes you possibly can. And that's how you make the story as good as you possibly can make it. Because like maybe I'll read something in it and I'll be like, maybe you want to change this or that. But then unwittingly, I'm like telling you, oh, take the heart out of your story. And like, because I don't understand, like maybe like I don't get it. And so I 100% I'll read it without a complete draft, but I'm probably not going to give you too much critique out of like fear that I'm blind to something. Because when something's early on, it's like uh, like it's delicate, you know. You gotta be real like careful with it. It's like it's a precious thing that like you gotta kind of like let grow. You know, it's like a Pokemon. You know, it's like it's the first generation. It's got to evolve a couple of times before it can start kicking ass. And you gotta like but I don't know, like I'm a big fan of like just extensive editing, like spending a huge amount of time on like the greater story at large, and then going down to like eventually like the sentence level, but like taking forever before you get down to the sentence level, because like you're the only one who will ever really know what you are going for, and you can chip away, and only you will know when it has achieved its final form. You know when it's a Charizard, like that's and then that's it. Then you put it out and like just be fucking proud of it, and then getting some opinions from people who are like oh, I didn't understand this, and you're like, oh no, it's very important that you understand this, so I better change this and this, and but otherwise, yeah, I will 100% read it, but I'm not going to mess it up. I will do everything I can not to mess it up, because yeah, I get what it's like to be right at that phase.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll be as influenced as like I'm worried about, because I've had so much of it already figured out that like if something doesn't work for you, I'm just going to assume, oh, like maybe someone else, it'll work for them. Like I'm not going to think about it too much. Like, but if I end up sending it out to like before official release, like doing a beta read like to like 10 different people, and all of them say like, no, this did not work, I'm gonna be like, oh well, crap. Like I'll rewrite it then to go for something different. But like for the most part, like everything is very like straight shooting for me. Like when I'm writing, the issue is just getting like setting time aside and actually writing, because my goal is to get 25 chapters no matter how long that is, because I don't want to go like 50 chapters, which is just a lot. That's like 100,000 words with my current pace, because I have about 2,000 to 3,000, so it's going to be about 50,000 words to 75,000, which is a good length for a novel.
It's an awesome length.
Yeah, so I want to keep that as close as I can to like 60,000 average. Like, so I'm hoping, and I've done that many times. I've done NaNoWriMo for many years, and this is actually the month to do that. National Novel Writing month. Yeah, and I just realized that as I was talking about it, but that entire thing kind of dissolved away after the big controversies that they went through. But they, I don't think they even exist anymore, so they had to liquidate it.
I'm completely out of the loop with any of that. I have not done NaNoWriMo.
Yeah,
should have, but I have not. That's impressive that you've done that, though. I mean, that's huge. Like, you're just cranking through a bunch.
Yeah, because I did it for the first time in 12th grade in my creative writing class. And I remember when I signed up for that class the previous year, the teacher was like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, you're going to have to write. And I'm like, no, I love writing. Like, that's one of my few, like, enjoyments in life, like back in high school. And the teacher was like, okay, like, you know, I'll believe it when I see it. And then, like, I was always the one on time, turning everything in. NaNoWriMo was the first one to finish on that, like, all this stuff. And I was able to take all the writing I'd taken from NaNoWriMo and previously in middle school and in high school, and I still have all this, and I was able to self-publish it as like a collected work of like all my stuff. Ooh. And I don't have it anymore. It's gone into the void, but there's like 2 or 3 copies floating around somewhere on Earth. I don't know where.
You gotta track one down.
Yeah, it's like if I get famous, it's going to be a very, very valuable thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's 3 copies, because I gave 2 people a copy and I had one myself. And I threw mine away, like, really quickly because I was, like, ashamed or whatever. And I shouldn't have been, because it was something that I enjoyed. But I did NaNoWriMo 3 times in college and undergrad, and then I did it again in master's. So I've done it, like, 5 times now, 6 times. So I also did it last year. I didn't finish, but I did most of it last year. Like 30,000 words, I think I hit. And I was just like, I hate this story. I'm getting rid of it. So I stopped. But I have the capacity to do it. I just need to sit down and do it. And
Right.
now that I have this new job where I'm just sitting around for long periods of time, I wish I had a laptop, like a good laptop, maybe a Chromebook or something to bring. That way I could still like write, during the day and just kind of get that done. So, because I'm wiped out by the time I get home,
Right.
especially substituting. So it's hard work.
It is. Yeah. It takes some like it takes calories to write. It really does. You like burn some energy there for sure. And
If you're hungry, like you're gonna be distracted while writing, so that
yeah.
doesn't
Oh,
help.
no joke. Yeah, it's no, I'm right there with you. Yeah, you hit a certain wall eventually, and you're like you just you don't want to like mess up your story, right? You don't want to be like half focused on it and like make some changes. But that's the wonderful thing about like Google Docs and things like that. You can easily make like another copy or whatever, and it's just sitting there and make whatever changes you want. Can't tell you how many copies I have of each story. I have like dozens. And
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. Speaking of editing, I was curious how much editing you did for Lethal Sector, and what is your like traditional amount of rounds that you do, like per
oh
story?
geez. I okay, so usually I'll like keep count. I'll keep like a number of like the draft on the top, but with Lethal Circuit, I completely lost count and then like kept going. Like I have probably done like more than 50 drafts on Lethal Circuit, and that's like going from beginning to end over and over again. Like the first draft, I started off, it's a short story, but I got through the short story, made it as clean as I could, got it to where I thought it was perfect. I thought it was 100% perfect. And then I decided to submit it to Writers of the Future, that short story contest. And before I did, I got really nervous about it and thought, God, there has to be a way to make this better. There has to be a way to make this even better because I want to win really bad. And so I was like, looking at it line by line by line, and I realized, oh, I could fix this with it. And I thought it was bulletproof. I thought it was 100% perfect after reading it hundreds of times, realizing that like, no, this is flawed in this way, and this way, and finally fixed all those things, sends it in. And after sending it in, reread it several times, thought, oh, this is great. I sent in just what I wanted to. And then I get the silver honorable mention and stuff, and then we're gonna turn it into like a full-length novel. And then as I'm turning it into a novel, I realize even the short story aspect of it, there's other things I wanted to fix. I realized, oh, the whole thing with Cora, the girl who dies on the track. It's sort of like you're not sure, was it Jack's fault? Of course, like his actions are responsible for her death, but they're both on the track, and she would have killed him, and yada yada yada. But the guilt, the way that hits him, I realized that didn't hit hard enough. Like you said, you want it to make you sad, make you angry, make you feel this way and that way, and I just hadn't hit that the way I wanted to. So I like upped that a little bit, and that's after doing dozens of drafts. It's like, you think it's perfect, but you can go a little bit further. And then I did that, but with the full length novel. Like, so I did all that, and now the full length novel. And it was just this, like the actual writing of a first draft, it feels like the most important aspect of the story. It really does. But as you get further along, you realize that like every single one of these steps is a necessity. Like, and it'll drive you insane. Like I don't think my system would work for everybody, because I get obsessive. Like really, like I will drop everything else in life. I will start messing up at work. I will start like I will not show up to band practice. I will not sleep because I just have to get to the next draft. Like it's literally an addiction. I'm like Jack when it comes to this. It's literally an addiction. It's a problem. That's why I was so happy to publish this, because I'm like, it's not my problem anymore. I have no say. If it's messed up, too bad.
Yeah. That's really funny because you sound a lot like Robert Jordan, who wrote The Wheel of Time, because he talked about how he went up to like 40 to 50 drafts a book or whatever.
Long
And
books.
yeah, and he was just like, he wrote millions and millions of words worth that he never ended up using.
Yeah.
And like, I'm the complete opposite. I'm sort of like Brandon Sanderson in this regard,
Yep.
and that I only do like 5 drafts, like at most. And like,
Yeah.
that's all I do because the first draft is me trying to get as much as I can out of there. Because I always find myself overwriting like scenes. That way I can edit it down and try to just
Yep.
get the muscle of it
I'm a
instead of
huge
all the
fan.
fat. So
Yeah, the subtractive editing is exactly the way to go. Yeah, you get as much there to work with as you possibly can, and you cut it down. You cut it down. You just get the cream of the crop there, like all the best stuff.
yeah, because the thing I learned about through NaNoWriMo is that you had to hit 50,000 words for the month of November. And that comes out to 1,666 words a day. And on the final day, you got to write 1,667 words to hit exactly 50,000. And I typically hit 2,000 to 3,000 words a day because I'm just crazy typing and just try and get as much as I can out there because some days I don't want to write. So having those 2,000 days or 3,000 days are really helpful for me to keep track. And that's what I'm thinking about doing for this month, even though I'm about 4 days late, is that I want to sort of use this month to finish the story. Because I've been talking about the story for months now since we met, and I'm still about the same place that I've been at. And I've been doing a chapter here, chapter there, and like I'm going too slow with it. And I should be done with it this year because I want to at least get a novel out a year, like whether self-publish or getting sent to publishers like Tor or Orbit,
Yeah,
DAR, any of
totally.
those places.
Yeah, and I think publishing wise too. That's like I self-published, and I think that at this point, for some, I mean, it's always everyone's got their own like thing that's going to be the best decision for them, and I just feel like traditional publishing has gotten to the point where it's a lot like music, like where it having like a like self-publishing your music is like the only way you should go at this point, because why do you want to like give a chunk of your earnings to someone to do exactly what you would have done that would have costed almost nothing, and their platforms that they're distributing on aren't going to do you any good anyway. Like when I learned that like the average number of books sold by a traditionally published author is 12 like over their lifetime, that changed my mind. I was all in on traditional publishing until I learned that, and I was like, oh my god, so you spend a year trying to get a hold of an agent, and then you spend a year waiting for that agent to connect you with a publisher, and then it results in you just like sometimes losing the soul of your story. Like they want you to change this, that, and that.
Put a dragon in.
The dragon in it.
That's what's selling right now. And you hear a lot of stories like Brandon Sanderson's talked about this in his writing lectures. He's like, yeah, like I turned in my first story and they were like, but where's the dragons? Like, and he's like, there's no dragons, sorry. Like,
oh my god.
And you sort of have to like butcher your own like writing story to sell it when you can just do it yourself. I mean, it's a lot more work on the author, but I think it's a lot more fulfilling to self-publish than to traditionally publish. Like, because I think word of mouth is just a lot more effective. Like, you get 1 or 2 friends to like sell it to 1 or 2 friends, and those 2 friends, sell 1 or 2 other friends. Like, it builds like over time.
Right, and this is coming from me. I've sold very few copies of this book. Like, I might as well have sold 0. But here's the thing about self-publishing: is it's more beneficial as a long game. Like traditional publishing, you have like a brief window where you might get some sales. Otherwise, you're done. Like you're not going to
Mm-hmm.
get anything unless you have some breakthrough later on, which if your first book doesn't do well, they're probably not going to publish your second book anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And but with self-publishing, you can let this book sit there online for as long as time goes. As long as there is a sun to shine, you will have this
Mm-hmm.
book there. And then you can release another book, release another book, release another book, and then eventually, if you accrue some sort of audience, retroactively, you're going to start getting some sales on your past books. So it's like there's always an incentive to do your best. There's always an incentive to like put out what you believe in, make a story exactly what you want. You're not going to deal with anyone who's like, yeah, I like your A Quiet Place, Berserk story, but could we get it like a little more cozy fantasy or something in here?
Yeah.
You're not going to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, you get to make what you want. That's
Mm-hmm.
the main thing. And it's like, yeah, there's an upfront cost. You got to get the cover, and you got to get all these whatever programs you need for like editing or to make it actually like printable and everything, make it look
Mm-hmm.
nice. But otherwise, I don't know. I think it's just more beneficial right now. I think it's objectively more beneficial to self-publish, but that's just my opinion as someone who hasn't sold any books.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of my favorite authors is Will White. He's a fully self-published author. He does Cradle and The Engineer and series like that. Cradle is what I love the most. Is like a martial arts fantasy. And he talks about how anytime he releases a new book, he just makes all the rest of his books free. And the latest
Smart.
book is like not free. So everyone who wants to go into it, they can like I started reading Cradle when book 8 came out. So I got the first 7 books free. And by the end of book 2, I was like, "Oh man, I love this series. This is the best. Like it's amazing." And like by the time like he said that like every time he does a sale like that, like it's a sharp spike of like amount of readers that, buy the books because it's
Right.
just like a snowball for him. And so, like, that's sort of like what I was thinking. And, like, yeah, there's a cost up front with the editing and getting the artwork, which I've already figured out which artist I want to use for my cover
Ooh,
because he does a lot of, like, metal album covers and stuff like that. I'll put a link in
sick.
our DM so you can see it. It's really cool. And he does a lot of, like Cthulhu, Lovecraftian like images, which is what I want for my cover. Is sort of like this, the aliens and stuff like that. I don't know what my cover will be yet, but I have a few ideas. But like self-publishing is just I don't want to say it's the easy way to go, but it's the most straightforward. Because traditional publishing,
Yeah.
you have to like cater your pitch, you have to send it to like the right person, you have to go to conventions and try to sell it there to specific people, try to find
Yeah.
people to speak about your book because word of mouth is still important for traditional, but at least with traditional, they do a lot of the work. They send you on a tour or whatever and sort of have you do book signings, stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I could do book signings myself. Just, hey, I'm going to be at this bookstore, like, and just ask the bookstore beforehand, and they'll probably do it. But, like, there's advantages and disadvantages. And what was the process like getting the book together, like, physically? Like, what sort of programs did you use to, like, make sure the spacing was good? And, like, how did your cover come about, too? Like,
Yeah, I mean that was a whole thing. I mean, like I kept finding myself at this crossroad of like, okay, do you hire somebody for this, or do you learn how to do it yourself? And
mm-hmm,
at almost every step along the way, I found that okay, I could hire someone, but I am risking the fact that they might be using AI in what they're doing,
yeah.
and I'm just paying someone to use AI. And I don't want AI to touch any of my work in any way whatsoever. And so that was a huge reason that pushed me to do pretty much all of this on my own. And then the other aspect is okay, so you pay someone enough to know that they're not using AI, which you never really can.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to that point, you're like, okay, what is the quality of their work? And are they going to get my vision correct, or are they going to do something that's like close but not quite? And so I came to the decision to, like, I purchased the rights to like the font that I used for the cover. I actually like commissioned the artwork by like a well-known cyberpunk artist named Riza Pardana. And he's great. He's great. And we actually commissioned that for the music for the Lethal Circuit single that we released like last year. And so I just reused that, kind of changed the colors up a little bit. I got a subscription to Photoshop, relearned how to use Photoshop, but like way more deeply. And that it was like 4 months of just like every day I get home from work, I'm on Photoshop for like 6 hours and just making sure that I have it perfect. They have templates on Amazon KDP that you can download that you plug in, like how many pages is the book, what is the trim size. Like mine was 5x8, and you can get a template that you download that you can just put right onto Photoshop, where you know exactly what size of image that you're working with, like how many pixels it is, so you can start like composing all of it that way. And then the colors have to be a certain way. You want to make sure that the title's legible. You want to make sure that the back and front cover, you have a cover wrap, so where it like, you know, it's all like one image, but also you can still read the description on the back and stuff like that. All those little things. Like it's another case where like you think you have it right, and then you look at it and you're like, it could be better this way, or it could be better that way. And so I have all these copies of the book around. I'm sure I have one laying around here somewhere. Like, like here's one of them. It looks almost identical to the one that I put out, but it's probably got like a dozen different changes there. And it's just been like one thing after another, and it eventually wound up being like, I don't even know where the real one is. It's gone. That's okay. But I mean, I'm a big fan of just like doing all you can on your own, because turn it into a big art project. Why not? Why not make it into your thing? Have fun with it.
Yeah, that's cool. Cause like I'm really good at like Adobe, like Illustrator, and
awesome.
I was curious like what like I'm gonna have to do like once I have a finished draft. Like, so I think when I self-published back in high school, when I did that big like collected works, I basically like you could just drop the Word document and it would auto like try to format it for you. Did you do something like that, or did you have to like go
like
in
internal?
Okay.
Yeah, the internal formatting. So there were a lot of options there. You know, there was I looked at all the different programs you can use, like for the I forget what the word is, like the hyphenation and stuff, to make sure that it's like justified correctly. That was something that I've read a lot of books, and I didn't even like pick up on the fact that was a thing until I was doing the formatting. I was like, oh, it's justified on both sides. I didn't realize that the text isn't supposed to be ragged on the right. And it's like all these like little temporary prints that I did, they all had ragged text on the right. But then I ended up looking into like there's like Vellum, which is the one that like, if you can get a program, if you have a Mac computer, get Vellum. I didn't have a Mac computer, so then the alternative is Scrivener, which is like I've heard some great things, terrible things about, where it's like got some serious software issues. So I ended up getting really lucky in finding that for whatever reason, this website called Draft to Digital, which is like a distributor that sends your ebook copy to like all the places that like aren't Amazon and aren't Google. You can send it to all the little places, so you have your book everywhere. So when I used them, they had this free format where you just plug it in. You have almost no options. So like either it works, and so I figured out a way to like tweak my actual Google Docs file to work with it, and lo and behold, it turned out perfect. Well, I'm sure there's some issues I haven't noticed, but it's
I didn't see any when I went through.
Cool. Okay, there we go. It's perfect. We're gonna pretend like it's perfect then. But I think finding something that works for you. If you can use a free program, awesome. I mean, like the best thing you can do is to make sure that people don't notice the formatting. Like people aren't reading a book for the formatting, they're reading it for the story. If you can just make the formatting invisible, it's the best thing you could possibly do, unless you're needing like lots of illustrations in your work for whatever reason, which I don't see myself doing at any point. I will pick up Vellum one of these days though. If I ever get like a Mac, I'm picking up Vellum, because that's like, it does it all much, but you have all sorts of options for the style. You can like if you want like the chapter headings to look a certain way, you can do that. But yeah, so I recommend Vellum, I guess, in short.
Cool. Yeah. So we're about almost done with the reading time, so we can go ahead and wrap up if that's okay.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about real quickly? Any other sort of shout outs you want to give, or any final words, stuff like that?
Gosh, I mean, not necessarily. I've check out the audio drama if you haven't yet.
And I'll put links in the bottom too, so people can find it easily.
Yeah, and thank you. I mean, thank you so much, Christian, for having me on your channel here, and always a fun time talking to you, man. And I think that next time come back to Christian's hobby blog to check out our talk on Dune Messiah, because that's gonna be sick. This is a great book.
Yeah, I can't wait to reread it, because I had a lot of issues on my first read, but again, I read it in like a day or two, and I had a lot of expectations, and we'll get into that. But
it's controversial, I think. I mean, it's like I like it, but it's also like, you can tell it's like it's twisting a dagger into you, like as you're reading it, like on purpose. And yeah, I haven't gotten to the end yet either. I might hate it. I don't know.
We'll see. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you're still watching at this point, this has been a great talk. I really enjoyed it. So thank you for joining me again, Collin. This was a really great chat.
Pleasure.
And I hope we talk very soon once we finish Dune Messiah.
Hell yeah. See you soon, Christian. Have a good day, man.
Bye, everyone.